Well, good afternoon, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live. Good to be with you guys, and I'll wait for a few to come on and say hello. Okay, and after, one of these rare afternoon sessions. Wendy, how are you? Andrea, Mike, Jeanette, our morning people are on with us in the afternoon. Okay, I love you guys. Rosa and Nativity, Sherry, good afternoon to you. We appreciate you coming on, even when you guys are so faithful. Laura in the morning. Okay, Kristen, all morning people so far, I think. Now, if you want to say hello, Piroska. How are you, Piroska? I probably manhandled your name. Carrie, good afternoon. Lori, Sheila, let me know if someone's, mostly, although we do get them from out west. Melbourne, Quebec, Wanda. Well, Wanda, thank you for coming on, and Chantal. We appreciate it. Nelly, all good. Morning, Deanne. Good to have you on. Debbie, nice to have you on too, okay? Give me someone from Western Canada, Western United States. Milagro, Annette, and Deb. Nice to have you on. Rhoda. Okay. Now, okay, I didn't see any from Western Cambridge. Adrian, Karen, Nick from our staff. Good to have you on this morning. This afternoon, Kitty, Kelowna. Kitty, here you go. That's the first one I've seen. Kelowna, British Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful Kelowna, British Columbia. Nice to have you on, and Yvonne and Margaret, okay? And I'll come on afterwards and say hello to the rest of you. And Sandra's saying, I'm having my afternoon coffee. Okay, so a little bit of water. Let me ask you, what comes to your mind when I say Johnson & Johnson? Okay, what comes to your mind? And you're maybe thinking that the virus vaccine, Johnson & Johnson's vaccine, has been put on hold, or at least I think so. CDC apparently is putting it on hold, okay? So maybe that's what you think of in Johnson & Johnson, not me. When I think of Johnson & Johnson, I've actually written a lot of books, and I think I mentioned Johnson & Johnson. I'm trying to remember if I ever wrote a book in the last 20 years where I didn't mention Johnson, what I call the Johnson & Johnson phenomenon. And why do I say that? Well, I blame Johnson & Johnson, okay? And they're not the only ones, but I blame them for being the sun police, okay? Johnson & Johnson were the sun police. I watched them happen. I watched it in the late 60s and the early 70s and really make, the sunshine the boogeyman. Skin cancer, skin cancer, skin cancer, skin cancer. So Johnson & Johnson, and of course they benefited from it because they were making sunscreens and suntan lotions, okay? Sunscreens and suntan lotions. So they benefit from it. Did they do some good? Okay. That's the argument here that I make. And why I singled them out, because they were really the first ones to the market with sunscreens. And now we're starting to find out exactly what I've been saying for the last almost 50 years, that, you know what, guys, the sunshine is what you need. And I'm going to show you a couple of studies today. You guys know a lot of this because you're such big fans of vitamin D. I heard a doctor yesterday say, it was kind of interesting coming from a physician who said, we don't have the virus season or the flu season. We have a lack of vitamin D season. And that's why you got these viruses, including COVID. Now, I'm probably, I don't know if I would have been the first guy to call for this. You know, where they're calling now for a passport. And like, I understand how medicine operates and how they think, okay? So I'm not going to get into the discussion about getting vaccines or not. That's up to you guys. I'm not going to go there. You have to make your individual decisions about that, okay? But they're actually talking about a passport that you will need, and I don't know if it's going to happen or not. There's a good chance it might, that you won't be able to get on an airplane or travel or whatever. I don't know what governments are going to do. I have found out in the last year that Dr. Martin, see this guy right here? The guy you're looking at, the guy you're hearing on a podcast, is not a prophet nor the son of one. Because everything that I predicted pretty well for this virus, I've been wrong on. I never thought it would last this long. I never thought there would be lockdowns like we have and all this and that. Anyway, I don't want to get into the political thing, but I do want to say this. I have been consistent, and I think you folks that have been following me for a fair amount of time would agree with this. I've had a consistent message about the sun. As a matter of fact, last year in March, when they closed the world down, I was saying and I was screaming when they were closing the beaches in Florida. I said, well, it would probably cost less to transport every Canadian down to the United States and park us on the beaches in Florida. Did I not say that? And I want to tell you what they know now. What I said about vitamin D, what I said about the sun is true. I said it was true. That first of all, the virus cannot survive in sunlight. It just does not survive. It doesn't. I said it then. I'm going to say it again. They want you to social distance. I wanted you to get out in the sun. They wanted you to wash your hands. I wanted you to get out in the sun. Not that I didn't want you to wash your hand. What I did say about that? I told you, please do not use those chemical bacterial rubs. Don't use that stuff because it's a chemical. So Johnson & Johnson, 50 years ago, had a campaign to keep people out of the sun. And the only way you could go in it, according to them, was that you needed their sunscreen. But here's what they know now. Much more, we know much more today than we used to. But I'm telling you, folks, that people that get skin cancer, and I'm not ever recommending that you go out in the sun and burn. So don't misquote me here. I'm just telling you the deadly melanoma, the skin cancer that can be deadly, melanoma, happens 90% to 10 to people that work indoors. The reason I'm bringing this out today is I want to talk to you about a Denmark study that just came out, was published most recently, and it says this: the more sun that you get, you decrease your risk of breast cancer by 17%. 17% difference in sunshine and the getting the sun and breast cancer rates. Breast cancer, we've talked about this, is overtaking, think about this, breast cancer is overtaking lung cancer as the #1 cancer in North America. Breast cancer is overtaking it. It's, the war on cancer that was declared by President Nixon in the 1970s when I was in school. We've losing the war on cancer. And ladies, I feel sorry for women because they are the ones that are been misled. And let's just wear pink and raise all kinds of money for Breast Cancer Month and this and that. And it makes my blood boil because we have made breast cancer worse. Because you never hear that if you are a woman, you need to get out in the sun. Get out in the sun. Unfortunately, if you live, what parallel is it? Somebody remind me, I'm just getting a brain cramp as to what parallel, if you live above that parallel in the northern hemisphere, well, good luck with getting out in the sun in the winter time, right? You got probably about 3 or 4 months where you can get the sun, and then the rest of the time there's not enough sun, and you got to be just about butt naked. Okay, your arms and legs exposed. So guess what's not happening in the winter? Okay, now listen. The rays of the sun are always good. They're always good, because I always tell my folks that will listen to me that when you're outside, don't put your sunglasses on, if you can, for about 10 or 15 minutes. Don't put the sunglasses on. Don't block the sunlight, because your body, guess what it's doing, even in the middle of winter, and if it's freezing cold, 40 below, but the sun's out, you know what your body's doing? It's making melatonin. It's upping your melatonin in your body. Now, everybody knows what melatonin is helpful for. It's something that your body makes, by the way. One of the ways it makes it, very in the sun, through the eyeballs, okay? So you don't need the sun to land on your arms or your legs. You don't need those rays to land there for you to get the benefits of the sun. And we ought to know this, because guess when you feel better, guys? Even if it's 40 below and the sun is out, you feel better, the sun's out. It's bright. You enjoy it. There's mood-altering hormones that are involved, and melatonin, which helps you to sleep. And of course, at night, when you're in a very dark room, you fill up your levels of melatonin. So no lights, no blue lights, and I actually recommend turning off your blue lights. You turn off your smartphone and turn off your computer and turn off the TV if you can, about an hour before even going to bed, to allow melatonin to be at its highest level. The more you're outside, the less chance you have of cancer, including skin cancer, the deadly one, the melanoma. Okay, there's basal cell carcinoma. Okay, there's squamous cell carcinoma. And there is melanoma carcinoma. Melanoma, and look, some of them, like squamous, can be a dangerous. But folks, people that don't get outside, people that work indoors, the statistics are overwhelming. And this is why it bugs me that we are not having a discussion, and you won't even get, most doctors refuse to get your vitamin D levels checked. And I'm telling you, there is nothing as effective as vitamin D for your immune system. Nothing. Nothing. Now, I want to give you another study that just came out, okay? So we talked about the Denmark study that talked about the 17% decrease. Women that get outside in the sun more than people that work indoors or whatever, get your sun, decrease in the risk of breast cancer. But let me give you another one. Just came out, hot off the press. Hot off the press. This is for sun rays only. Okay, so it's not for vitamin D, although vitamin D, you guys know me, vitamin D from the sun, but this is just the sun rays. Another study, hot off the press. Listen to what it says. Because this has to do with the virus. Now, I'm going to give you vitamin D in the virus in a minute. But in the meantime, let me just talk to you about this new study, a British study that talked about COVID deaths, listen to this, are decreased in people, not only with higher levels of what we call dehydroxy 25, which is your serum vitamin D levels. Everybody in the universe they should check your serum vitamin D levels twice a year. They don't do it because they still think vitamin D is only for bones. Oh, do you hear? You hear the wood inside of there? Oh, I get so uptight about that. There's so many studies on the effectiveness of vitamin D, but listen to this one. This is for the severity of hospitalization, the severity of infection, people who got in the sun. This is why I was telling you last year, bring us all Canadians, don't close the beaches. Don't close the beaches. Let us sit in the sun. And then someone said, the other day, because I guess I must have mentioned this, but not this study, but speaking about the sun and staying on the beach, and somebody said, yeah, especially if you're social distant. Nah. They don't know you don't need the social distance when you're in the sun. You don't need it. And this study, brand new, hot off the press, said, the people who get most exposure to the sun have a decreased risk of the serious side effects of this virus. Hot off the press, folks. And can I tell you why? Can I tell you why? You're not going to hear this elsewhere, at least I don't think so. Okay, because, guys, I've taught you this. You have a little antenna on your T cells in your body, okay? You know what your T cells are? Your T cells come out of your lymphatic system, and they are the front line of your defense of your immune system. They have a little antenna, your T cells, and T cells are like Navy SEALs, and the only way you can charge their battery is you need vitamin D, okay? Now, we already know that. So when you're out in the sun, you got a little antenna in your bloodstream on your T cells, and they are picking up vitamin D. Isn't that wonderful? But guys, that's not it. That's not all. That's not all. Because, listen to what I'm going to say. People who get seriously ill from the virus have what we call a cytokine storm. Okay? It's their body is overreacting to the virus. You get a virus, and then your T cells and your B cells and your body goes crazy because Your body is fearfully and wonderfully made. You have an immune system. Nobody's talking about it, but you do have an immune system. I try and get you to take care of your immune system, but I'm going to tell you why they found in people like in Florida, for example, or anywhere where they're in the sun. And you know what the problem is in Florida? This is a by the way. You know me and my rabbit trails. I'm going to go down a rabbit trail. You know what I get so chewed off? Are people that live in Arizona and they live in Florida and they're scared skinny of the sun. Johnson & Johnson did that to you. See why I'm bringing Johnson & Johnson up? They did that to you. Marketing. Be scared of the sun. The sun gives you skin cancer. The sun, it's going to age your skin. Your skin's going to wrinkle up like a prune. The sun. And people bought it. You want to see my generation and my parents' generation. They bought it hook, line, and sinker. I'm telling you, there wasn't a doctor in the world that I can think of that was telling people, you know what, maybe, get out in the sun for a good 20 minutes, a half an hour, and then cover up. Why are you putting those chemicals on your skin? You know, when I was in high school, I pretty near blew up the lab in chemistry class. And this is a true story. Because my chemistry partner, in those days, I was in grade 13. We were in a lab. You know what grade 13 is? It's 1 year after grade 12. They don't have it anymore. But they used to. In Ontario, they had grade 13. I was in grade 13 in a chemistry class. And my buddy and I decided to do something, put a mixture together. I can't even remember exactly what it was. It was fine. We put there was a few bubbles. I remember that. We mixed this with that, and then we saw a few bubbles come up. And then we did something very stupid. You know what we did? We put the Bunsen burner to it. Ah! I'm not kidding you. How we didn't die in that explosion was by the grace of God. But you know, I learned a lesson. I learned a lesson that day. Don't add heat to chemicals. Guess what sunscreen is? Oh, Doc, I'm just going to put some, sunscreen and lather up the kids. Yeah, maybe it's not too bad until you put heat to it. And the sun provides the heat and the energy, and I don't like the results of it. Okay? So that's just a little story. It's a true story of my high school days that I never forgot. Yeah, that experiment was all right until we put the heat to it. Oh, wow. Okay? I never forgot that. And I was screaming in the 1970s. You put heat on your skin and you put a chemical on it, I don't like the reaction to it. Okay? And you know what? It's turning out that I was right. You want to put a drug in your system, guys? Rub it on your skin. Why do you think they have patches like nitro patches and hormone patches? And, it gets right into your bloodstream in a nanosecond. It doesn't have to pass your gut. Anywho. Here's the reason, okay? Now remember, I went on a rabbit trail. Now I'm bringing you back, okay, after a 10-minute story. I'm famous for it, okay? I'm sorry. Now let me bring you back to why the rays of the sun, okay? One, the antenna, okay? The antenna on your T cells, one. Number two, but for COVID, yes, here's why, okay? Here's one of the best benefits. When you get sun coming on the skin, you know what that does? You know what your skin releases? If you guys, I'm going to wait 10 seconds. If someone gives me this, I'm going to give you a prize because you guys are the smartest people I know. I mean that. What happens on the skin, okay, that really puts a stop to the cytokine storm? The rays of the sun. Gonna wait, okay? Melatonin, Nancy, just about. Serotonin, yeah, all good answers. It's not the answer, though. UV rays, Cecile, you're getting there. It's close. Melatonin, vitamin D, John, of course, you're getting vitamin D levels, but it's not that. Melatonin, I love it. You're getting the rays. You're getting the right rays. You got it. Okay. But here's the answer, guys. Okay. Because this is tough. This is not easy. But soon as I saw the study that it benefits just getting in the sun without even measuring the amount of vitamin D that you picked up. Remember, you're going to get 10,000 international units of sun, no sunscreen, if in 20 minutes. Oh, Dr. Martin, 10,000. I thought vitamin D was fat soluble and must be bad for you and toxic. Well, isn't that funny? 20 minutes in the sun, without sunscreen, you're going to get 10,000 IUs. But let me give you the answer. The answer is when you have the rays of the sun coming on your skin releases NO. Nitric oxide. Now, what does nitric oxide do? Nitric oxide, when you get the rays of the sun on your skin, listen to what I'm saying. Nitric oxide is released. You know what nitric oxide does? It relaxes your blood vessels. If you relax your blood vessels, your blood pressure comes down, because this is one of the biggest problems in the side effects of COVID. When you get a cytokine storm, is your blood pressure goes through the roof. And this is one of the major side effects. As your lungs fill up, your nitric oxide releases the pressure off the lungs and the pressure off the heart. You've heard me talk about nitric oxide before. Nitric oxide is an explosion, but this one's a good one, okay? I told you about the explosion in the lab. But remember, nitroglycerin. What does that do? It relieves angina. What is angina? It's a decrease in your blood vessels go spastic around your heart and you get pain, severe pain, and people take a nitro patch or they take a nitro sublingual or whatever, or they use a spray of nitro but nitric oxide, NO we call it, is what the rays of the sun do when they hit your skin. Folks, can I say this? You know what? I'm going to do a whole show. Johnson & Johnson. I don't mean to just blame them, okay? Because they do some wonderful things, okay? No, but I blame them, but I blamed them back then. I've been talking about that for so long. I've talked to you about Kellogg's. I've talked to you about Pfizer. I've talked to you about Procter & Gamble. I've talked to you about the Unilever. You know, we're going to do a show one day on all those things. They were the first ones out. That's what I'm trying to say. Folks, when it is outside, you see, the government, I don't want to be controversial. I wish they would call me. I wish I could sit on a round table on this. In Ontario, they have a science table. The only problem is it's all the pharmaceutical industry. It's all about numbers. It's all about the virus. It's never about the immune system. It's, did you see the study yesterday? Did I talk about this? I can't even remember if I actually mentioned it in a short term. You know what the worst thing they did? Besides closing the beaches and telling you to stay inside and social distance, you know what the worst thing they did is close the stinking gyms. Why didn't they ask me? Now they're showing that when you get vitamin E, exercise, how good that is to prevent COVID, the virus. Exercise. And they allow it because even when they, last year, I remember coming back from Florida and people were telling me, well, you can't go outside. I said, are you kidding me? The best place to be is outside. What are you talking about? You got to stay in your house. That's the stupidest thing in the world. There's no outdoor transmission. It happens in poorly ventilated areas. It doesn't happen outdoors. Outdoors is where God wants you to go to protect yourself. Get outside. You know what? I sound like my mother when I was a kid. Can you imagine 11 kids? In those days, there was no TV. Well, there was TV, but we weren't watching it during the day. I can tell you that. My mother, get outside. And my mom, I tell you, yes, sir. Like I had a healthy respect for my ma. A big respect for her. She was smart. She said, get the heck outside, you big lug. That's what you used to call me. My mother. I miss her dearly. But you know what I mean? You didn't argue with my mom. Not if you knew what was good for you. Anyways, I just thought today I had to bring you these two recent studies, one on breast cancer and, we all know what vitamin D does. We should have a passport. Oh, you got good vitamin D? Come on in. You got good vitamin D levels? You can travel anywhere you want. You ain't getting the virus. You need vitamin D. Vitamin D, it's not even a vitamin. It's a hormone. It's a precursor to hormones. You need vitamin D. Your body doesn't do well without vitamin D. Oh, Dr. Martin, you got to be careful. You better be careful if you don't have vitamin D. 80% of the population in North America don't have the right levels of vitamin D. No wonder we're so stinking sick. I think I'll breathe. Okay. Once again, guys, we love you. Thank you for coming on this afternoon session. I appreciate it. Big crowd out today. Again, we thank you. You guys are so great. And tomorrow is question and answer Friday. I'm happy to get your questions in. We'll try and cover them all. And you guys have been great, okay? Thank you for making the Metabolic Reset the number one book in Canada. Thank you for probably one of the number one books in North America as far as health goes. And we thank you for that. You guys have done that and we appreciate it. If you haven't told your friends about the Metabolic Reset, Even this week, I just going to do a little recap for 1 second, okay? I just can't get over what came out this week. You know what I say is a showstopper, and what I say, this will blow your socks off. I brought out a study, I think it was Tuesday, that showed that in 2 weeks, you get a 35% decrease in your triglycerides. You get lowering, for diabetics, this is for diabetics, lower blood pressure, lower triglycerides, which are extremely dangerous.